Hi, I'm Guy Lawrence, and you are listening to the Guy Lawrence podcast. If you're enjoying this content and you want to find out more and join me and come further down the rabbit hole, make sure you head back to guylawrence.com.au. Awesome, guys. Enjoy the show. Matt, Petra, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks, Guy. Good to be here.
The pleasure is all mine, all mine. So, we're in the midst of just about to do our second retreat tomorrow. We've just done one last weekend, which was amazing. And we've been discussing about doing a podcast for pretty much months. And we finally found the opportunity to sit together and in person instead of over Zoom, which is amazing. Now,
what a concept.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that I've been asked every day since the retreat. So if it's straight, I'll start with you, man.
Of course you will. You always go right to me all the time. It's like, just, okay, go.
So if a stranger stopped you on the street and asked you, what was our retreat about last weekend? Because everybody keeps asking me and I keep trying to come up with answers. What would you say?
Mate. Curveball. You said you're throwing a curveball at the beginning. So what would you say? What was the retreat about? Was the question? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya, don't we? Isn't that what we do? I think it's it's like an upgrade. Like was it Chris that said it?
Chris.
Yeah.
Windows 10 to Windows 20.
Yeah, just like an upgrade. It's basically, I feel like we come in, we take inventory, we clear away the old stuff, the old programs that aren't working, and then start to open into new possibilities, new potential through practical processes that gain insight and awareness, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Petra.
Yeah, I would say the same. Transformation and transformation and transformation.
But then again, like if I was the stranger, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. This is.
I know you're gonna slam us back. What does that mean? What
does an upgrade mean?
Just going through whatever's holding back you from not living the life that you want to live, becoming aware of that and clearing it, and starting to live the life. By the last day, you're really into your new life, and it's a huge transformation from the first day to the last, right? First day, everybody just so afraid and filled with all these emotions of what I'm doing here. Because we are in the unknown, right? We don't tell in advance what we're gonna do, and I think that's the beauty of our retreats, because we really feel each group and listen to each participant, and then decide what we're gonna do and how we're gonna support them best.
Well, even in that description as well, it's like, what's the new me look like? What does that actually mean? And I think it's like what actually happens through the retreats is that we create opportunity for people to build resilience in themselves and to actually be able to be more comfortable in their own skin, I think is what it's all about. And then from that space, you have the capacity then in your life, as everything's bouncing around as it does, to actually stay grounded, stay connected to what your passions are, what your desires are, what your inspirations are. And then from that, you can move from that space instead of trying to grab stuff outside of yourself to create this sense of joy and sense of comfort in yourself. You find the comfort first, but the resilience to maintain that through all the stresses, and then be able to maintain that in your everyday life.
It feels like we're almost flipping what we've been taught in Western society to a degree.
Yeah.
Because there's always this mechanism that there's almost like a path that we kind of lead, and quite often we don't question it, which is, you go to school, you get an education, and you're sort of being institutionalized to a degree. We need infrastructure, of course, and this is the way it works. But then from there, we end up meeting someone, fall in love, then we get married, then we get a house, and then we have a secure job, then we pay off the mortgage, and we move toward this. We kind of just jump on this path and off we go. But quite often when we start, and I'm noticing people are coming younger as well, which is amazing. But for me, it's like you're
getting younger through the retreat.
Yeah, I'm getting younger. Look at me. I'm gonna.
So young, okay.
That's why I don't shave, mate. Otherwise
you look too young.
Yeah, totally. But then we get to a point in our life where all those things haven't fulfilled us. But then we are so caught up in all of it. There's obviously a lot of fear that can be wrapped around that, because then what do we do? Like everything that we've built our life upon can feel like it's falling apart. But at the same time, we're not sure of if that is actually a viable option to actually start leaning into that, you know, and then we can take years and years. It's
about right.
Yeah, you know.
But it's interesting as you explain that, is like that's what we're conditioned into and moving towards in our lives, is the, you know, what we should do or how we should be, and you know, the paradigm of our society. It's like, I know all of our journeys have been when that's broken down, and then leaning into things that we don't know. Like, we don't know what's next. We come to a place where there's a breakdown, and then we have no other choice, and then we lean into something new, and then that's what's allowed us to actually move into these careers and these lives that I think are more aligned with our hearts. And it's like, and last weekend, just being at that women's conference up on the Goldie, it was like all the speakers, it was like a theme through the whole weekend, was that their careers and being successful in what they're doing came from a different place than their education a lot of the times. And like, you know, they went through school, they did these certain things, or they're in this marriage or in this like kind of certain construct. And it's when that broke down, or when something inspired them to move outside of that, that then they found this niche or found this opportunity that created this great success in their lives. It's like, so why do we do that?
Exactly. Are we frightened to celebrate the true self, right? It's almost like we kind of keep suppressing it, but that's what's actually going to allow us to bring us the joy in our life. If we allow that to come through us, that's already within us. I mean, what about you, Petra? I mean,
same.
Your resume, right, isn't something like, where the hell did you get that from? Like, do you know what I mean? It was from living and doing this work.
Yeah, just like Matt said, I mean, my life was completely different before, and unfortunately, I allowed myself to really fall, and allow my life to collapse, and then start living the life that I want. So that's not what we need to do. I mean, we don't have to wait to be really ill or really broken in any way, or in any area of our lives, to start living the life that we want, and to start following our heart, right? And that's what we teach at our retreats. That people really start listening to their truth and living their truth without need to fall apart all the way.
Can I ask you another question
Yes,
on that
you
then?
can.
So I'm just going to prod and poke a little bit, you know, but
I know, we're used to it.
That's it.
Because you mentioned, you know, there was that moment where they had to break before you moved through. What do you think was holding you back at that point? What couldn't you see that you can look back with the wisdom now?
I would say that it was so unreal for me, because my society and my environment formed me in a way that I didn't believe that it could be possible. And that I truly have the gift that I have, and that it's something that just doesn't exist in this world we live in, right?
Totally.
And that I should go to this university and have this life and live this way, because that's what is expected. And I was suppressing my gifts, and I was suppressing my talents, because I wasn't living in an environment that was supporting it. And when I tried to speak about it, I was laughed at. So I just put it aside, and I was nourishing it, but kind of secretly.
Yeah. Okay. So then there was a moment where, and it was, I often joke about this, because there was a moment where I feel like I was coming out of the closet. Like, you know, sorry, I'm just going to tell everyone I'm doing this work, and this is awesome, because it's what brings me joy, right?
And we've got some footage from the retreat. Really bringing out of the closet, right?
Yeah.
Wait till that goes viral.
Dubach. So what just to touch on that, then, where did the confidence come from for you to really start honoring and embracing your true self?
Well, the good thing is that actually I am pretty stubborn. Okay.
That's such a surprise to hear coming out of your mouth. I never would have expected you to say that.
Man.
Stubborn. No, not you, Petra.
and I have the drive, right?
Yeah.
You do, my love.
Yeah.
You do.
And we have photos of that as well.
Yeah, I
right?
think you're right. Yes, you got your She-Ra bracelets on. Yeah, goddess, go.
The goddess.
Yeah.
So that's what's actually pushing me when I had nowhere else to go. I mean, I could start rebuilding the life that I had, but I wasn't happy with that life, or I could start building the new life, and that's where I invested my energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And another thought I wanted to raise, because what was so apparent and clear with the retreat last week is that you got all these strangers coming together with all this nervousness and apprehension and fear, you know, like, what the hell am I doing here? What the hell are these guys going to take us through? Because we keep everyone in the unknown as well, every session, because we want to create that anticipation and feeling, because that's what life's all about as well. We try and control everything. But what was clear was that people were closed off initially and frightened, but by the end of it, it was like one huge family, and there were bonds and connections made for life, and people were willing to be vulnerable and share, and it was, you just couldn't stop them in the end. It was like this infection contagious. And one thing it reinforces for me every single time we do this work is how crucial it is to have just human connection and feel belong to something and share and feel those bonds. Yet why do you think it is that we are so frightened to go there, but yet it can be so healing in itself?
Because it's an unknown.
I think it's the unknown again.
What do you think?
These are good questions.
It's a fear of failure as well, you know. Your fear of failure.
Failure?
Are we having my accent thing again now? Divine?
It's the divine comes through and gets everyone together. Petra's pronunciation of divine is dewine. So on the retreat, we have lots of dewine.
Yeah.
Dewine opportunities are happening, right? So for failure. Yep, good.
So the fear of failure.
Well, we guard ourselves so much, right? Like we have this protective self.
Yeah.
I'm a bit conflicted in that question. It's an interesting one because it's like our basic need is to fit into the tribe, is to fit into a community, and we have all these opportunities to do so. So why are we so guarded to any of that is quite an interesting construct.
Probably because we've been judged for who we truly are, and now we're afraid to be judged again if we really show who we truly are.
We show our true selves, right?
And I think that's the beauty of the retreat, is that we really make sure they feel safe and comfortable, and they really know they're safe and accepted, and that nobody will judge them. And in the end, they realize we are actually all the same, and each one of us is mirroring the other one. So there's no need to be ashamed or guilty or afraid, because what I carry in myself, you have, Matt has, and any other person in the group. And that's why we learn, and that's what really brings relief, because we are finally allowed to accept who we truly are and start living that.
Yeah, through that space of being held and heard, and it's like those judgments that are something we picked up, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just this noise in our heads that creates this illusion of separation. It's like, you have to be that way.
Yeah.
Well, we do 3 days, boom, drop in, and we're like a family. And everyone's uniqueness is what makes that.
Exactly.
And it's like, and that's what I think. We try and be something to fit in, but forgetting that the reason that we actually came into life as us, as our unique self, is because of that uniqueness.
Yeah.
It's like that is the one gift that we have, is that there's nobody else like us.
Yeah.
And that to truly allow that to resonate and to come through our lives then allows us to then click into the wholeness of humanity and life in general, because life requires the individualities to create this beautiful mess of a masterpiece that we all paint together.
Yeah. It makes me think of that meme quote I shared last week. We spent enough time trying to fit in, it's time to stand out. And absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone has an opinion about everyone, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And the moment we can sort of have that inner self to know that if it's coming from heart and coming from the essence of us, and it's coming from the right place, then it's up to everyone else how they want to perceive and put their judgment on you, because then again, they're just mirroring what's already within themselves anyway. And the sooner you can let it go and start following and leaning into that, which is what we talked about a bit earlier, you know. Right. So
Here comes another one.
Yeah.
no, I've got a bullet point.
behind you.
I've got a bullet point here, and it makes me think about the topic of always striving and chasing something. And we're chasing. So let's touch on that a bit, because I think everyone, including myself, will all relate to this. You know.
Was there a question in there?
Well, can you read my mind? Come on, son.
Come on, son. You're off that camera there.
Oh, right.
Come back close to us.
All right,
you get off on your little tangent there. You get on the pedestal over there.
So, but I think it's a great discussion to have, because even at the moment, like you've been very inspiring this every day since you've been hanging up here, mate. Because you've been hitting the beach first thing in the morning. You've been watching the sunrise.
Yeah.
You know, and you spoke about the metaphor with the sun. So talk us through that.
I really
and how that.
Oh, it's a good one, isn't it?
And how that deep
it's
meditative
been inspiring
state.
me. Like
Yeah.
the sun's inspiring me. It's like, well, it's I'm inspiring you. Huh? Well, it's such a gift to well, you got your kids here, but
Yeah.
to be able to be up here in this beautiful area with no kids and no responsibilities. Yeah, I'm doing my meditations every day. I got 2 hours on the beach to fucking connect.
That's right.
No, so it's just this idea is that the sun, like you sit on this, it's beautiful that we get the east to watch the sunrise over the water, and it's like, you know, there's this illumination that happens, you know, from darkness, and it's like becomes this like hue of light, and then you sit and you wait and you wait and you wait, and it's like it seems to go on forever. And I've been sitting in a place of meditation and toning into that space, that expanse. And then once that sun hits, it like, and then as we all know, it just comes up really quickly then. And it's like, I sit there and it just hit me a few days ago. I'm like, oh, am I chasing, you know, in my life, what am I doing? I'm chasing after my dreams, my goals, my, you know, all these things that I want to create. But when I come to watch the sunset, the beauty of life that's, you know, embedded in that moment and being present with what is, we're hurtling through space, like, you know, so quickly, and the sun is moving and life is just flowing and wanting to come through, and it's coming to us by just sitting there. And like everyone else is missing it because they're running around doing their lives. And if you just stop and sit, it's going to come to you. And that's so true about so many things in my life and the goals.
I was going to ask you, have you been guilty of striving?
Always, whether it's, you know, career, whether it's money, whether it's relationship, like always reaching, always driving, always going after something. And it's, for me, what my journey has been is I'm, you know, pretty stubborn like you and determined and, you know, have those qualities as well.
I think so.
Do you think? A little bit? A little OCD sprinkled in there? Don't put that mat there. It's crooked. Straighten that mat. Those chairs are not exactly right. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's all there.
And we still love each other.
Yeah, that's it. But so it's a push and it's a drive, and my determination is so strong is that I've got to exhaust myself until I collapse, and then when I crash, it's like this surrender happens, and then that's when life can come to me instead of actually just going and sitting with what's coming and just being present. I push, I run, I chase, I drive, and then either push people away or push the goals away. It's like I always see this analogy of, like, you know, if you have a beach ball in a pool of water, and you know how hard it is to get it, and like you're trying to grab it and just like goes away from you.
Yeah,
it's like that's like the goals. But if you just sit there, then eventually it's going to come around and you can just embrace it.
Yeah,
it's like similar kind of concept. So
yeah,
but your gears are turning now, mate.
No, I know. It, yeah.
But it's so important, really.
This is surrender.
I think it captures the truth of life, that we, instead of running after life, we should allow life to come to us. And all we need to do is really be clear what we want to achieve, what we want to invite in our lives, and keep on tuning into that, and keep on allowing enough time to meditate, to be with ourselves, and tuning in with what we want in our life, and then allowing life to come, like allowing sun to rise instead of trying to make it come.
The tuning into it part is important as well. And it's like You could go down the metaphysical rabbit hole with that one. It's like, your vibration is creating the reality that's around you. But just on a practical, like physical construct, it's like as you start to focus on the gratitude or the joy, or then your RAS system, your brain is actually designed to filter out all the other noise. It's going to focus on what you're accustomed to. It's the yellow Jeep syndrome, right?
Yeah,
you don't ever see a yellow Jeep until you get one, and then it's everywhere. Same kind of thing. If you're holding joy and gratitude, you're not going to see the opportunities of joy and gratitude unless you're holding that. So the more you hold it, then the more you see it, and then you have that space then to grab it as it's there. Instead of all this pain and this struggle and this suffering, like, oh yeah, there's more pain, there's more suffering, there's more struggling.
But we have a bias to whatever we're feeling, right?
Yeah.
So we can lay focus on anything in our world to literally the way we feel. So if we're running from the hormones of stress, which pretty much everyone is most of the time, especially once you get into the city life and jobs, career, and that there's a dependency on that. And the moment we try to interrupt that, we can create all sorts of bullshit. That actually are just stories in our head, most of it constructed.
To perpetuate that dependency.
Perpetuate the dependency. And then all of a sudden, it just feels a million miles away from the very things that we just spoke about. And the issue is as well that I found, which I realized that I was guilty of as well, was I was able to really start to dial into this work and allow life to start to flow through me and see opportunity. But then I'd come up against myself. And the fears
I don't
and the
deserve
beliefs.
this.
I don't
it's too
deserve
good
it.
to be true.
And all of a sudden, the opportunity is laying there in front of me, and I was able to quite easily sabotage it and not step through it because I had a program that was running, and that's what I love about the upgrade of version 2.0 to 3.0.
To create new programs.
To continually create new programs, and neuroplasticity and neuroscience is showing that you can literally unwire the way signals are being sent around your body if you stop using them or cut the dependency, and then you just keep rewriting the new one until that becomes hard-coded. And then you have the upgrade. That's what I love about the retreat, is like we get to rewire a hell of a lot in 3 days, which is amazing. And I'm really excited next year where we're going to be measuring that stuff properly as well, so people can see the differences and changes.
It's just the reference point of that. Like you go through an experience during the retreat or whatever, and then have that new reference point within yourself. Oh, actually, I'm in command of this. I'm in command of that moment in myself and my state of being. And then you have a reference point to dial into in your life. So
I guess my key takeaway for that is that you have to action the moments that come in. So even though you start to slow down and allow life to, like you say, it almost starts to come in at these moments, and when they start to arise as you tap into this work more, you have to action it. You got to meet it halfway, I think, and honor it and honor yourself and step into that. But then you're stepping into the unknown.
Yeah.
Right, because that's so quite often we're constantly pushing the very things that we want in our life away, and we don't even realize we're doing it. Mine's got very deep. Yeah. I got one more bullet point here, and I can't even remember what we were going to talk about, but that was resistance. But I kind of think we've kind of touched on it.
You need more descriptive bullet points, mate.
I know.
One word. Bagel. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know why. That's my grocery list. That's not a bullet point.
Resistance and a question mark. What kind of resistance?
Well, we kind of started to lean into that then, I think.
Like resisting the new?
Yeah.
Resisting the new life?
Yeah, constantly.
Self-sabotaging? Not allowing ourselves? That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Just when we come to that moment, come on.
I think that's done.
Tell him something. Let's get it done. Exactly. Just move. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it pulls it all the way back to the simplicity of the work. Yeah. Come on, guys. Come on.
Focus.
Come on.
What are you resisting, Petra?
Yeah.
I'm in the flow. Okay. Divine.
Yeah. Divine. So it comes back to being able to detach ourselves from the things that are coming up, and for me the work and the practice, if as metaphysical and everything that we can get into, and you can go so deep with this, and we get caught up in so much of it all the time, really comes back to just being the observer, and being the witness, and allowing yourself space to practice that continuously. And I hate the word mindfulness because it sends me to sleep when I hear it. It's you know, so boring. But as we become mindful and start to witness these things, we can really detach ourselves from that resistance, and then we start to see that our thoughts and our feelings and a lot of these are automated patterns that are leading in. And once we get in tune with ourselves and see the things that might be coming into our lives, but then we've got our belief systems coming in a way, we can really begin the observer. And from becoming the observer, we can start to interrupt those patterns in the moment, because life is happening moment by moment, and it's only in the moment is when we can take action anyway. So I think it all kind of stems back to that.
It's one of the first steps of change, to become aware of
awareness,
your
right?
feelings and your beliefs and what is actually holding you back. And then you know what you need to change. Then you know what's standing in your way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we keep on getting distracted by whatever, social media, TVs, hanging out with people that are not really supporting our true selves, or whatever we find to keep occupied, or stuffing food down our throat, whatever, it's just to not be aware of our feelings and beliefs. It's just prolonging
the pain.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of our work, is that we, all three of us, blend our techniques and our tools in a way to help people go through that process, but in a safe and supportive way. So we have,
unless they're not moving, and then you pull that whip out.
Exactly.
Well, in your case, the gong gets louder.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Or over the head. Here, take that. Yeah.
Because it's not easy.
Yeah, and you touched on something else that kind of sparked my awareness, was the distractions. And that's the beauty of coming to, a retreat. I think you said before, it's like we're in the same environment, the same situations, same relationships, doing the same things and expecting our lives to change. And it's like, that's pretty much insanity, really. So to be able to pull yourself out of that, I mean, like, look, I'm just, I'm kind of on my own personal retreat, being up here, working with you guys, and like pulling away from all the commonalities that I'm used to down there that get me in that stress place. And it's like,
and look what's happened to you over the last week. Oh my God. Eh?
It's a total transformation, right? Yeah, mate. I just said, like, I'm gonna be levitating in the next 2 hours, I reckon. Like, it's all just happening up here.
Yeah.
No, but it's that space, I think, that then creates that opportunity to start to make different choices, start to, one, process all the stuff that we've been pushing down behind all those distractions, and then to decide where we want to go from there.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, 3 action steps. We spoke about 3 action steps for people. So anyone that's, this obviously this is going to be a podcast, and people are going to be listening to this, and if somebody's like been a podcast junkie, listening to a lot of information but haven't actioned anything yet into this work, what would you, let's have an action step. What springs to mind for you, Matt? Like Matt's just done a lot of talking. Petra.
Shut him up.
Yeah, just what we said. Just make a decision to see what's holding you back. Make a decision to become aware of your feelings and your beliefs.
Okay, so with that, become aware of the feel. How would you recommend somebody to do that?
It could be either through journaling or taking time to meditate, which is, I think, it's one of the most important steps. Really allowing time to retreat every day, or even setting the alarm clock on your phone every 15 minutes and just catch yourself. What am I thinking now? How am I feeling? What is my body posture? And just
catch yourself. Yeah. See that? I'm the only one who's been upright the whole time, guys.
You're not squashed here.
Yeah, that's good. You're on that side, like, got a whole
He's
space.
on good side.
We're on top of each other. This is kinky. Yeah.
You?
Was that your action step?
That's one step.
That's
So
a great step.
actually set an alarm and check in with yourself. Boom.
Where are you in yourself? Yeah. What's going on? Where's your posture? Yeah. So from that new posture, I always go back to this. If there's one thing that I think can bring people back into awareness or into a place of harmony or connection with themselves, is to actually connect with the source of themselves, and that's the breath and the heart. So if you can, you can either, you know, get, I mean, literally just a hand here, like this is what I do in the line at Coles, right? When the lady in front of me has bought 45 cans of cat food, and they beat one at a time. I'm like, why? Just how many cats does she have, right? So, well, it happens every time. I need to change my beliefs, because every time I go to Coles, there's a woman with cat
Check
food.
that vibration.
Yeah, what am I doing? Fuck. Okay, so.
Now we know it. We're getting him broken first.
Cat food.
Cats.
Cats.
And then the heart. It's just here. One hand on the belly, and you breathe into the belly, and just a deep breath into the belly. So just noticing where is your breath, because most of the time our breath is up here, right? And so just doing that changes your physiology right there. So just a hand on the belly when you're in the line of Coles behind the cat lady. And you breathe in there. And that'll slow you down, drop you in. It changes your biochemistry, which changes your thought patterns, which gives you an opportunity to see more clearly outside of the stress, fight or flight response into a place of rest and digest and opening. If you want to add a layer to it, left hand, because you usually got two hands unless you're holding all those burritos in the other hand. It's,
Cat food.
yeah, the cat food. Then left hand here, and you can actually drop in, and when you get still enough, you can feel your own heartbeat. And those are two rhythms of life that are thriving inside of you. You connect to what's thriving inside of you, and then that's going to ripple out into a life that's thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And there's a lot of studies showing as well around diaphragmatic breathing compared to chest breathing, where we normally breathe through the chest and the mouth, you know, with the vagus nerve actually going down. So majority of us are actually shallow breathers, which can create anxiety in our life. It's amazing. So just doing what you said, making that
in a second you change the whole, you just shift. And there's a beautiful quote that says, try to breathe deeply and have a bad thought. You cannot. And
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
No, can't.
Go
Yeah.
present in the moment, grateful for your breath
Good
and
thoughts.
life.
Yeah, deep breaths, good thoughts.
Yeah.
Deep breaths, good thoughts. Another t-shirt.
Deep breath, good thoughts. Yeah. So we need one more step. So actually, I would have spoken about breathing into the heart for sure, because that's something I do daily, and obviously being the observant aware now. But something that sprang to mind then, what I love to do a lot, because I'm a bit of a daydreamer, but I love contemplation and actually allowing little moments of space in my day if I can. So if our day is completely chaos, then we're not allowing the essence to flow. So just like those things as well. So even trying to create pockets of 5 minutes where I won't have the radio, I won't have, because I've normally got information coming in when I'm reaching for the phone, social media. It's so easy, and we got alerts set up on our computer, alerts set up on our phone, and the next thing you know, it's cracking off everywhere. But I find that for me, contemplation, like if I hear something or read something or listen to something like a podcast or whatever, I mull it around for days, but then also normally gives me something of an inspired action. And then I act upon that inspired action from that, the wheels turning and then having the moment in the shower. So I guess one more thing is to continue to try and find pockets during your day, even if it's 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, where you just cut off the silence, cut off the sound, cut off people, distractions, even if you're going to sit in the toilet at work and just avoid every, you know. And for me, a lot of amazing things have come from that over the years. So I think they're 3 great steps. You like that?
Works. Yeah, it's practical. I'll start doing that one and that one.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
start breathing.
It's the posture.
Yeah.
The goddess posture.
The goddess posture. I need the goddess posture.
All right. So I ask a few questions on the show. Well,
that's in the.
What's up?
Check. It's a check. It says, doesn't say live on that phone. It says Uvicu.
It says Uživo.
Uživo.
It's Croatian live.
Croatian live. Uživo.
Okay. So, Mr. Omo.
Mr. Lawrence.
If you could have dinner with anyone in any time frame.
I forgot this was a podcast. I would have prepared my answers.
Well, this is the idea.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to tune in, mate. Yeah. Anyway, at any time frame, what do you think it would be? And why?
Right. Rumi.
Who's that?
Rumi.
Rumi.
Today a Rumi. Got his quote on my arm. I go hang out with Rumi.
Why?
Because he, his poetry speaks to me. His wisdom just always inspires me. We got on my arm. It says, "Close your eyes, fall in love, stay there." And I think those 6 words kind of sum up the secret to life. Close your eyes, fall in love, just freaking stay there. It's so simple. And it's just this beautiful, all this, poems, love poems, and just really tapped in, tuned in fella to hang out.
Amazing.
Maybe hang out with the whirling dervishes, spin around a bit.
I'm going with him.
Rumi.
Oh, you can't just take mine. You got to be original. You're unique. You're a goddess. Come on. I want a new answer. I want to be inspired. I don't
Rumi
want just
too.
like his. Huh?
I want to be with Rumi too.
Oh, you can. Then
Well,
okay,
no,
we'll have a dinner with Rumi.
We'll
then you
invite
come,
them all.
Then the
We'll
next
invite them all, okay?
Okay, we'll have a feast. Okay, who else
Who's
is
your
going to be at the table?
person?
Me, I was just thinking about that, thinking, God, nobody's ever asked me this. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
no, I'm going to have to come up with an answer. Do you know what the person that sprung to mind at the moment, and not only because I've been reading his book a lot recently, but more because I watched a couple of his YouTube videos, and that's Igor Bentov from Stalking the Wild Pendulum.
Oh,
And there's this
so amazed through that book.
this Polish guy, and oh my God, like he was so wise. And funnily enough, he started life as a plumber or a mechanic, and he went and became this great philosopher and scientist, and it's just amazing, his work. So he seemed so kind, and he had an amazing sense of humor. So I'd love to have had a chat with him for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like anyone who is open and willing to explore. I mean, and just having conversations like we do. I feel so blessed that the 3 of us have each other, and we can go into these deep conversations and at the same time make
You're
fun
not
of
going to
each
dodge
other.
the question. You're
No,
not
I'm
gonna-
not.
That's
Okay, I've
ridiculous.
been
Give
at
us a
guys'
person.
podcast.
Pick one. Come on, one.
What did you say last time?
I said Einstein and somebody else.
Well,
It's
he's a
Einstein,
great dude.
Yeah, hang out with
Yeah.
Einstein a bit. Yeah.
right? So
But yeah.
Rumi and Einstein and
Rumi,
the Polish
Einstein,
guy.
and Aesop. What's his name? Aesop.
Igor Bentov.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy.
Benny.
Benny.
Yeah.
But
So
we
we
need
have
some
3
comic
people.
relief on that table. That's going to be a pretty intense dinner.
But he would. No, I think he'd bring relief.
Would he?
I reckon Einstein's
he's
got
a-
a sense of humor too.
Yeah, he would too.
He would have.
So
Cool.
depth and sense of humor, that's all we need.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, willing to explore,
Yeah.
to ask questions.
Amazing. I'm gonna ask him one last one.
Here he comes again.
You go.
Well, I'm ready this time.
Okay.
He doesn't even.
Oh, no, I don't-
See, you get ready and then he's screwed.
No, I was gonna ask you what's your favorite quote of all time.
Favorite quote of all
And then I
time.
thought, oh, will he know one? Yeah, surely. What's the
I
sort of-
just said it. It's right on my arm.
What does it say?
Close your eyes, fall in love, stay there.
Perfect.
Why do you do this to us? What's your favorite quote?
I think mine was the Wayne Dyer one that always keeps coming back. It's if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
You know which one is for me?
Yeah.
The one that I have on my desktop that you made, that you put together. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Universe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Trust and trust.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, and the way I always end the podcast as well is with everything we've covered today, would you like to leave anything for everyone to ponder on?
Holy shit! How did we miss this one? Yeah, just as you asked that question. Oh, just had a flashback to first grade. No, the kindness. Like we're on about this. Oh, you change your pattern, change your habit, all this stuff about not chasing the sun and all that kind of stuff. The core in all of that is just lighten the hell out and be a bit more kind to yourself. And I think that all this stuff can get so heavy, and that's why I like to crack a joke or two, is because or 7, yeah. It's just we're too serious in life. We can't take life too seriously. We're all going to die eventually. So
Yeah. Be kind to yourselves and others.
Yeah. I'll roll with that.
You rolling with that?
Yeah. Beautiful, guys.
Nice.
Well, what can I say? It's been an honor having you on the
been an
podcast
honor.
today.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna make him pay back this next 4 days at the retreat.
Oh,
right?
always. Yeah, I've got some footage of him like, doing some weird
this
shit.
is cut. No. Beautiful. But honestly, guys, it's been an amazing week having you guys around. Like, it's just been so special, and be able to come and do something like this and share it with everyone. And we get to roll again tomorrow. So
we're kicking it off tomorrow, aren't we?
yeah, I'm genuinely blessed. Thank you.
So are we. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, guys. Facebook Live.